reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for On the Mark. Good evening to the wonderful people here on the island of Nevis, those on our beautiful sister island of St. Kitts, those who are listening across the Caribbean. Good evening to our friends and family in the United Kingdom and those in North America, the United States, of course, and Canada. Good evening to you wherever you are, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I start by thanking the Honorable Troy Liebert, who hosted the show last week in my absence. Sometimes, unfortunately, I have other commitments, and I was very grateful to Troy Liebert that he was able to step in. I have excellent co-hosts, excellent substitutes, so when I'm not available, the Honorable Troy Liebert, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and others have stepped in to fill that void, and they do so with such great aplomb that I'm not missed. And so that's good. I would really want to thank them for their continued effort. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here each Wednesday for 2 hours, and we go from 8 to 10 for what remains the Federation's only show of its kind, 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. We are prime time and a widely listened to platform. We are, I believe, widely listened to and have been over the past decade and a half here in the Federation, and listened to throughout our region and throughout the world, in large measure because we bring truth. We have a level of discussion that we encourage debate. We do not encourage persons to slander or attack each other. And we try our very best to maintain the high standards that VON Radio has set. This is the voice of Nevis. It is the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse. And I trust and hope that you're tuned in. And if you're not yet tuned in, I hope that somebody will call you and tell you, On the Mark is on. Please tune in. We are now through the marvel of the internet, going live throughout the world on live radio, naturally, but we are also now on Facebook and YouTube, and so you have a variety of options to listen, and you could, of course, listen the old-fashioned way, 860 on your AM dial. So, we are here this evening, and we hope to have with you a discussion. And I emphasize a discussion because I think that's what our country needs at this point. It is no secret now that our country is going through a tremendous level of political trauma. And we have different things being said by different people. And that is understood. We have supporters of different factions and different parties who are also making their case, and that too is understandable. I want to be very clear that as leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, a political party which is and has been a dominant political force in Nevis and in the Federation over the past 30 plus years of its creation, I am pleased that we're having this debate. It may sound odd to some, but I think this debate is reflective of a mature democracy. And rather than some people seeing it as confusion and chaos, I think we should see it as a democracy which is mature and which has room for robust discussion and debate. As a politician, now a bit long in the tooth because I have been at it for some time, I will say this, that I welcome debate and discussion. I do not shy away from it. I believe that those of us who have chosen this path of public service should be willing, and in fact should welcome, public scrutiny, public criticism, and public discussion. It is for that reason why I come here every week. Not since I've been elected, but every week for the past 15 years I have come to have a discussion with my people, the people of Nevis, with my people, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and with those who are listening in the diaspora and farther afield. We have come and continue to come to have that open dialogue with our people. Dialogue which is sometimes testy, sometimes fierce, sometimes difficult, but dialogue which is necessary. And I think that our country is the better for it. I have said on this show we are contributing in some measure to the foundational building blocks of our society and our democracy, and that is freedom of expression. Now, freedom of expression doesn't mean that you're free to insult or to ridicule or to slander anyone. In fact, those would fall well below the standards that we have set here for this show and that Von Radio has set for itself. And so, when the lines open, as they will at some point during the show, I want us to remember that the purpose here is not necessarily to agree with everything you hear or necessarily to agree with each other. The purpose here is to have debate and discussion and hopefully make our democracy stronger and richer for it. Now, my approach to public service is to be direct, forthright, and honest with our people. I have, in my tenure as Premier, come to the public every month. In fact, tomorrow, I will have my monthly press conference. It is a commitment that I made and a commitment that we kept even during the worst of the COVID pandemic. I was here every month, and I intend, so long as I have life and so long as I'm in a position of public service, to continue to be here every month with a press conference where the press can ask and get honest and direct answers to the questions that they are willing to ask as members of the Fourth Estate. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what has been my style? My style has been very open. Some call it abrasive, some call it difficult. I don't know what they call it because I can only be who I am. And we understand that if Jesus, who was perfect, was crucified, then who am I? There will certainly be critics. And that is, in fact, healthy. I don't mind it at all. That is important because it demonstrates that we are not all thinking alike. And in our society, you would have everybody thinking the same or thinking alike. And so there is nothing wrong with criticism. Some of us, we get upset by it. I try not to. I have learned, as I said, to ignore the noise. Some criticism is just noise. People will say, oh, why are you wearing a blue shirt for tonight? That's just noise. That's nonsense. Other people will say, and they have a substantive basis and a substantive reason for criticism. And I believe that which is referred to as constructive criticism is worthy of listening to and acting upon. But my style has been a direct one. I try to speak plainly. I try to speak in a way that people can understand the point that I'm making. And so it struck me as odd recently that somebody, naturally for their own political purposes, took an inordinate amount of time to put together a video of me saying at different forums that under the Unity Administration, federal government of which I am a part, and which the CCM is a part, in fact, which was made possible by the concerned citizens' movement's involvement in it. Let me say that again. Which was made possible by the concerned citizens' movement involvement in it. That I have said publicly that this is the best relationship that Nevis has had with St. Kitts, and that is the best that we have been treated in relation to our interactions as St. Kitts and Nevis. It seems to me that some would like to take video clips like that, play them around the world, and say, oh, somehow that Mark Brantley, by making those comments, is now somehow not allowed to say that things are not working as they should. I would challenge the same videographers and editors who go out of their way to put together propaganda for their own purposes to examine the full content of my statements on those occasions. Because on every occasion that I have lauded the coming of Team Unity, I have often remembered to remind myself and the Nivision people and the people of the wider Federation that Team Unity has still not fulfilled some of its promises to the people of Nevis. And I liken it to a situation, brothers and sisters, where you are in a relationship from which you get nothing, and you move from that relationship to a different relationship in which you are now getting something. Would you not say that that is the best that you have experienced? Absolutely. But would you not also say that the new relationship has not delivered what was promised? So, let me break it down in the terms colloquially, as I would put it. Let me bring it right down. Let the pot boil right in. You are with, ladies, a gentleman, and he makes no contribution to the household. You are out there struggling on your own. Another gentleman comes along and he says, that gentleman is not treating you well. Give me an opportunity to be with you and to be in your household with you. And if you do so, I will ensure that I contribute $1,000 every month to your household. You say, I believe that's a better arrangement for me. You work towards it. You work to end in the relationship that gave you nothing and to enter into a new relationship where you're promised $1,000 per month to your household. In that new relationship, the new gentleman starts out and he gives you $100 a month. Is $100 better than nothing? Absolutely it is. You then say, but sir, this is not the 1,000 that was promised. Well, I've given you that for now. Hold on to that and then we work on it. You say, okay, you're working. You're holding people to their word and you're working. So you're working with your new paramour in this household. And then after you start to agitate some more, you say, well, this is really not as agreed. You say, I'll give you 150. While we try to work it out. And you said, all right, let us work at it. Let us work at it. Let us get this done. Because you are interested in making a relationship work. Eventually, you get up to $200. And then after constant internal discussions and over the years, you finally get to $400. And so you say publicly, because it is true, that this is the best that you've ever done, because you're comparing where you were when you got nothing to where you are now where you're getting something. But it is equally true, brothers and sisters, that you're not getting the $1,000 that was promised to you. I don't think that that is too difficult to understand, and I'm hopeful that by breaking it down in that way, that everybody can understand what the difficulty is that has arisen. Will I say today here publicly that the Team Unity administration has been the best insofar as the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis that we have seen from 2015 until now? Yes, I will say so. I will not resile from that, because I think the numbers and the relationship suggest that yes, it has been the best. But we as a people, and more specifically we as the Nivision people, because we have an identity as part of this country, small yes, but an identity that is uniquely Nivision. We must not lose sight of the fact that because something is better, it has still not yet reached the promise that we made and the commitment that we made and the basis upon which. And I want persons to understand, because I'm being told that I'm now being characterized in some quarters as a confusion person and greedy and wanting to create problems in the country. I would want you to understand that both before I became Premier and now that I've been Premier, and I've been Premier now for just over 4 years, that I have agitated constantly and consistently inside government, not outside, inside government, that we do better by the people of Nevis. I have said so. We have a Prime Minister whose father is from Nevis. He reminds us often that his father is from Cotton Ground. And so one would have thought that it is imprinted in his DNA that we do the best that we can by the people of Nevis, just as we do the best that we can by the people of St. Kitts. After all, we are one country, 2 islands, one country, one people. And so it is a matter of concern for me that as a division leader, being part of a team unity construct that Nevis contributed to and that my party ensured was put in government in 2015, that these matters have still not been resolved. And that I, for standing up for the people of Nevis, am to be accused of being a confusionist and other leaders in Nevis would have dealt with things differently. Well, that's them. I can't be them. I could only be me. LeBron James can't be Kobe Bryant. He can't be Charles Barkley. He can't be Michael Jordan. He could only be LeBron. So I am the person who's in the position now. Like me or don't like me, the people of Nevis, thank God, have liked me and continue to like me. They have loved me and continue to love me. The people of St. John's have done so. The people of St. John's and St. Paul's have done so. Election after election, my vote tally has increased because people have invested in me. Now, why have they done that? Why have they done that? Because I have a grey beard and no flecks of grey in my hair? Because I speak English? Because I am a man? No. People elect me because they want me to look out for them. That is why they elect me. They want me to serve them, to take care of their interests. So how then, when I stand up for the people who have elected me to represent them, I am to be accused of being a confusion person and greedy? How is it that you are greedy for insisting that the commitments to you and your island be kept? Going back to my crude example of this woman who is now in a new relationship and who had a commitment of $1,000 per month. Is it that she is greedy by saying, you have not kept that commitment, sir? Is that greedy? Look at it in the reverse. Is the person that has not kept that commitment now to be treated as ignoble, scampish, fraudulent, worthless, to use a colloquial expression? How would you describe that gentleman who came and said to this lady, listen, make the change and this is what is going to happen? And that change was made in good faith. And what was promised has not been delivered. How is she to be blamed for saying eventually, after years of trying to have private discussions with the gentleman, why is she to be blamed now for saying to the neighbor and to her friends and to the community that what was promised is not being delivered? I would want to be very clear, ladies and gentlemen, those that you're listening here and listening abroad, that I was an advocate for Nevis in opposition, that I am an advocate for Nevis in government, and that I will always be an advocate for this island that has given me so much. An island that I will die for, an island that is my life, this island of Nevis. There are many places in the world that I could have been. I have chosen to be here among the people of Nevis, and if good comes, we enjoy it, and if bad comes, we must suffer together. But I stand here as a Nevisian through and through, and for which I will not make any apology. And if there are Nevisian leaders who in the past have not stood up, then that is a matter for them, and history will judge them. I am going to stand up, and I'm not doing it for any other purpose than saying that the people of Nevis have for far too long been locked out. For far too long you hear, oh, we love you long time. But when it comes to the demonstration of that, we have been locked out. I did not campaign for team unity, fight for team unity, to now be in a position where team unity has abandoned Nevis and has abandoned what we promised to the people of Nevis. That was not what I fought for. Let us reflect that prior to team unity, Nevis was getting nothing from the Citizenship by Investment program. Nothing. And when we did get something, it was categorized as a loan that was under NRP and Labour. It is something that I was passionate about, that the CCM was passionate about. We said it was unfair. It could not continue. It was immoral that billions of dollars were coming into the country and the people of Nevis were locked out. You're outside, you see food sharing in your own country, you can't get none. Locked out. We said it was not fair. It was immoral. We campaigned against it. I was in opposition then. We got together, PAM, PLP and CCM. We got together, we said we must fight these inequities. And I was charged to put together a document called the Charlestown Accord. Charged to put together that document to ensure that we memorialized in writing some of the agreements that had been arrived at. The parties sat on the courthouse steps in Charlestown before a mammoth crowd. It was, I believe, December of 2014. Timothy Harris for the PLP, Sean Richards for PAM, Vance Amry for CCM. And they signed to say before God and man, this is our commitment to each other. This is our commitment to the island of Nevis. This is our commitment to our nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Our people applauded. Our people said, well done, noble gentlemen. Political parties that have come together, not in the dead of night, but in open sunlight and sunshine, saying this is what we plan to do. And when we went out and we campaigned on the basis of the commitments that had been made to each other and to the people of Nevis and the wider federation. CCM, let us remember, had a long history of never joining with any political party on St. Kitts. CCM's position was like Switzerland, non-alignment. That was the position under the Honorable Vance Amry for all the years. In fact, I will remind some who are even now seeking to rewrite our history that when I pushed and prodded that we should join Team Unity, there were some in the very CCM who publicly proclaimed that I was pushing the party into a direction that the party had never gone into. Yes, I took the criticisms, but I believed that it was the right thing to do. I believed that the country needed a new paradigm for governance, a new approach, an approach that looked to the best in us, an approach that put aside past hurts, past difficulties. And the people bought that vision, and in 2015 the people ushered a Team Unity government into being. And since 2015, went back to the polls in 2020, and the people renewed their confidence in Team Unity. So let me ask you, how long must the people of Nevis wait? How long? And I don't say this with any rancor. I don't say this because I'm vexed with anybody. I am asking the question, how long must the people of Nevis wait? How long must that woman wait for the gentleman who promised $1,000 to the household to deliver? How long must she be told, hold this for now, until we get to that position where we can work out what was promised? And why it is, when she says eventually, after years of internal discussion, that this is not what was promised, that people vex with her. People vex with me for saying that this is not what was promised. And what is even worse, brothers and sisters, is that you have some now who are adding up all that Nevis has got and coming out and saying, what am I make nice for? Look how much money them get. What am I make nice for? They used to get nothing before, now them I get something. They should hush them out and take what they get. Why? Because we're in a vision? Why? Because we don't have leadership that will stand up and say that is not acceptable? Why? And so I don't see why people out there are upset that I and my party, imbued with the awesome responsibility of leading the people of Nevis at this point, are standing up for Nevis. I see there's some discordant voices here who are trying their best to get some relevance. But I would suggest to them that the best way in Nevis for them to get relevance is to demonstrate to Nevisians that they too are willing to stand up for Nevis. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whether it's NRP in office or CCM in office, we have faced a similar problem. In fact, the numbers will show that when the Nevis Reformation Party was in government in Nevis and in coalition government with Labour at the federal level in St. Kitts, Nevis got nothing. Not, zero, nada, zip, zilch. Not a thing. And whenever some dribble came over, we had a thing on it, say LOAN, loan. I'm not making this up. And so it demonstrates that there has been an ongoing issue, regardless of party that is in Nevis. And it is time that Nevisians unite around these issues, not in antagonism or against our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, but to stand up for what is right. And I believe that it is important to stand up for what is right even when you stand alone. So when I hear Nevisians parroting this nonsense about Nevis get 300 million, Nevis get 400 million, what Brantley do with the money, what Brantley... And I said, is it that we are so easily fooled? Is it that we are so easily fooled? Because in all of the public pronouncements about how much money Nevis has got, about how glorious a time it is, about the best treatment, and I hear words like support. Support. Well, how are you supporting Nevis? By giving Nevis a portion of what it is entitled to. But you hear all of this rhetoric. You know what has been absent in all of this discussion? How much did St. Kitts get? What has been absent in all of the discussion about citizenship by investment proceeds and the question of an equitable share, how much did St. Kitts get? Because all I hear is people who could add up. Nevis get this for that, Nevis get that for that, Nevis. Lord, what am I make nice for? Nevis get money, Nevis now used to get nothing. Brantley and all say it's the best that Nevis has ever got. That is the argument. Why you make nice for? Take that and hush your mouth. And when I see Nevisians jumping up, swallow that hook, line and sinker. And I said to myself, how it is that nobody is asking the fundamental question, well, if Nevis get 400 million, how much you get? How much you get? Because only so can we decide whether or not this is fair share, whether or not this is what was agreed. Now, what did we say on the Charlestown steps to the people of Nevis and to the people of the Federation? We said that CBI proceeds, let me emphasize that, because I hear a lot of debate about the Constitution now, like some just discovered the Constitution yesterday. We said that CBI proceeds. That was the problem that we had. That is what made Bingy sing the song, we want with SIDF money. We were talking about the CBI money. That was the political issue at the time. And I was asked to draft something to deal with the issue of CBI, not revenue. Because we understand government get revenue from taxes, from water department, from all kinds of other things. I was asked to deal specifically on the political parties, PLP, PAM, and CCM. Deal, I was told, with the issue of CBI. A discrete, concrete, and line item in terms of revenue. And I dealt with it, and the parties agreed that CBI money will be shared on a pro rata population basis. That sounds sophisticated, but it's really not that sophisticated. It simply means that if on the census St. Kitts has 30,000 people and Nevis has 10,000 people, then the country has 40,000 people total. St. Kitts will get 3/4, Nevis will get 1/4. See how simple that is? That is all pro rata means. That you share it based on the population. And on the population census that we had, and available to us when the Charlestown Accord was signed, Nevis should have been in the area of 25% of the population of St. Kitts and Nevis. So it is not that this is beyond us or the numbers aren't available to us. 25%. St. Kitts get 75%, Nevis get 25%. Nobody's arguing about equal share, because that is nonsense. St. Kitts is the bigger island, bigger sister. We're talking about a pro rata equitable share. So 75-25. I believe, and I hope I'm correct, that that's what the census figures would have shown. We knew that when we signed the accord in 2014. Timothy Harris knew that when he signed. Van Sam, we knew that when he signed. Sean Richards knew that when he signed. Now I am hearing as if some have woken up 2 or 3 days ago that the Constitution is what we must look to. And the Constitution in section 1110 says what should happen. Well, I have asked myself the question. So Timothy Harris didn't know about the Constitution in 2014 when he signed the Charlestown Accord? The Constitution was what we had since the 19th of September 1983. Van Samry and Sean Richards didn't know about the Constitution in 2014 when they signed the Accord. So if for convenience some are now going to say that we can only look to the Constitution, I ask the question, when the Charlestown Accord was signed on the courthouse steps in December 2014 before a mammoth crowd, is it that you're telling me then that you knew what the Constitution said, but you signed a document which was contrary to the Constitution, knowing that you had no intentions of honoring the document that you signed? You see, one must ask these questions. But when you see people want to run away from the commitments that they've made, they come up with all kinds of new arguments. The Constitution, ladies and gentlemen, deals with revenue sharing. That is all revenue. VAT, duty, corporate tax, all revenue. That's what the Constitution deals with at section 1110. I'm not going to get into that debate because 1110 has never really been honored throughout the history of our country. Never. The Charlestown Accord speaks specifically to citizenship by investment money. It don't talk about revenue. It talk about CBI, because that was the political problem that we faced and that we were trying to address. And that is why it said CBI money will be shared per rata population basis. St. Kitts get 75%, Nevis get 25%. People of goodwill, men and women, don't need no long set of talking to resolve what are really simple issues. No long set of talking. But there seems to be a perception in some quarters that as CBI has grown and blossomed and ballooned into a multi-billion-dollar earner for the country, that Nevis 25% is too much money for Nevis. And the unfairness and the inequity has come back into full force, particularly during COVID, when the revenue streams for the Nevis Island government were decimated. We still had to keep our people employed, we still had to keep our hospital open, we still had to keep our lights on, our roads, our garbage being collected. And so we in Nevis borrowed to make that happen. We borrowed. We found money wherever we could to try and do right by our people. And that is why I've said that I feel proud that every public servant on the island of Nevis got paid in full and on time during the pandemic. Every pensioner got paid in full and on time during the pandemic. But here's your little brother on Nevis, borrowing to make ends meet and to do right by the people of Nevis, having no access to the citizenship by investment proceeds. Here's your bigger brother in St. Kitts, not concerned so much about Marriott clothes and Park Hire clothes and Ecool's business clothes. You know why? Because hundreds of millions are pouring into Bastille from this passport business, citizenship by investment. Hundreds of millions. And so while Nevis over here is trying to make ends meet, sitting down as a cabinet in Nevis, colleagues and I are brainstorming, coming up with a film industry, trying to come up with money for small businesses to incentivize them. How do we get people back to work? How do we incentivize farmers? How do we pay civil servants? Fighting with those issues. Our big brother in St. Kitts said, we have a surplus. Another year and we have another massive surplus. And you ask yourself, is that how unity was intended to function? I have heard some people now say that it is my responsibility as Premier of Nevis to find my own revenue streams, stopwatch citizenship by investment money, and find my own. And I said, well, how convenient is that? How convenient is that? Because the CBI stream is our stream. The passport is our passport. Mine says St. Christopher and Nevis. So how come, as I have made the point a million times, that when trouble and problems come, the people of Nevis bear their full brunt? I too, born down Henley Park, raised in Brownhill, need a visa to go Canada. And that wasn't any fault of mine. That wasn't any fault of any division. But we are citizens of this country, and so we must bear the burden of now requiring a visa to go to Canada. Well, how come we must bear an equal share of the burden, but we cannot and will not be allowed an equal share of the benefit? It cannot be right. And I will not sit down inside government or outside government and see it happening and not speak about it. And if it is I've become public about it and come to the public, it's because years of trying to resolve it privately have not borne fruit. And I say so. Now the time is going fast and I don't want to belabor because I have my press conference tomorrow. But since nobody has been willing to tell us how much the CBI has been bringing in, and all that they've been willing to trumpet to the world is how much Nevis has got, as if Nevis is the only beneficiary from CBI, we decided to do a snapshot and I share some data with you tonight. I will get into it in more detail in my press conference tomorrow. The SIDF, that was the big money earner in the country for quite some time. In 2007, the SIDF had in just over $17.6 million. It then started to grow. But the numbers here are telling us that the totals 2007-19, I'm sorry, let me go back. 2007 accounts 19.24 million. 2008 accounts 36 million. 2009 accounts 52 million, 52.9. 2010 accounts 153 million. 2011 accounts 232 million. 2012 accounts $334.5 million. Put it in context for you. In 2011, we got a loan from the SIDF that is under NRP and Labour. A loan for $3 million to do NIPAC. In 2012, we get loans again, $6 million at 5% repairable over 5 years. And then the Nevis Airport lands with the NRP mortgage advance Amri Airport to the SIDF, $4,084,000 at 6%, repairable in 60 equal installments. I'm not making this up. These are the facts. 2013, we had another $330 million collected. 2014, another $292.3 million collected. 2015, another $209.9 million collected. You see where I stopped there? I stopped at 2015 because those are SIDF. In 2016, forgive me, we have another $124.8 million collected into the SIDF. Thereafter, we shifted to this Hurricane Relief Fund. But let me give you some round numbers. This is what my team has come up with. From 2015 to 2021, that is the unity years, CBI has brought in $2.79 billion. Them numbers are so big they can't hold on most calculators. Let me say that again. On the unity, from 2015 to 2021, CBI has brought in to Bastia $2.79 billion. Of that amount, $321 million has come to Nevis, and $2.47 billion has stayed in Bastia. Let me say it again. From 2015 to 2021, the unity years, the best years for St. Kitts and Nevis, some $2.79 billion came in from CBI. Mind, we not talk about VAT and those things, we're talking about CBI. And so for those who like to tape the show and produce a clip, let me be very specific and clear. From 2015 to 2021, the unity years, Citizenship by Investment has brought into Bastia $2.79 billion in government fees and payments to the government in St. Kitts. Of that, Nevis has received $321 million, and our sister, St. Kitts, has received $2.47 billion. It therefore means, on those numbers, that Nevis has got roughly 12% of the proceeds. Bear in mind that the Charlestown Accord said that it should be on a pro rata population basis. Is 12% better than nothing? Absolutely. Is 12% the same as 25%? Absolutely not. This is not hard. It is not rocket science. It's basic mathematics. And all of us did mathematics from kindergarten and up. Basic counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is the unity years. Well, we know under the period prior to unity, the people of Nevis got nothing. And when they did get something, it was characterized as a loan. So when we add the period before unity and we include now the years of the SIDF from 2007 when it was created onwards, and I hope you're sitting down, if you're driving, pull over to the side of the road, because when we add the total now, we're going back to 2007 now, CBI has brought in $5.14 billion into Bastille, of which Nevis has received $349.7 million, and St. Kitts, our sister, has kept $4.79 billion for herself. I will say it again. For the period 2007 to 2021, that is the Douglas NRP period plus the unity period, CBI brought in $5.14 billion into Bastille. Nevis and the people of Nevis got $349.7 million out of that, and our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, through the government in Bastille, kept $4.79 billion for themselves. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I like to speak truth, and there's no way you can know if the pie is fair and if the share is fair if you don't know what the whole pie is. And anybody who gonna come and start to tell you, oh, Nevis get 300 million, Nevis get 400 million, but refuses to tell you how much was kept in Bastille, trying to fool you. You hear what I say? Anybody who can tell you that Nevis get this, but refuses to tell you how much stayed in Bastille, is trying to fool you. And that is why I've been surprised that there are some wannabe politicians in Nevis who start to jump up like it's Christmas. Nevis get this money. What do you do with it? Not realizing that you're being hoodwinked. Focus, my people, focus. Because while you are in about 400 million or whatever the number is, the facts are that over the period 2007 till 2021, period of 14 years, 5.14 billion is what came into this country from CBI, and of that 349.7 million came to Nevis, leaving a grand total of $4.79 billion to St. Kitts. And when you do the math on that, the island of Nevis is down to somewhere around 7% of the CBI revenue that we have got. So let me ask you, we mustn't talk about that. I hear these flowery statements. The relationship cannot be measured in money. The relationship is much more than money. Well, send Nevis the 4.79 billion. You keep 349 million. And Nevis will send you the love and say, that is all we need. Sinkers don't need any of the money. Nevis will get all the money. And then we say, the relationship is based on love. Well, that is when you got to be that somebody thinks somebody stupid. Because while money in Sinkers is being banked, I hear Dr. Douglas, the former Prime Minister, say he started out with 700 million. And the last I heard him say, he said he left $900 million in the bank. I don't want to offend the Christians, but I know old people in Henry Party that say, may go to great God. $900 million he left in the bank. They would have said, me go to great God. Me can't believe them number there. 900 million he left in the bank. That not got nothing with SIDF, you know. Because another 500 million was in SIDF when he left office. And while 900 million cash, raw cash is in the bank from CBI, Nevis over here borrow money. And being told you must live within your means and you must this and whatever you need to do, you must justify. You must show how you're spending the money. You must. But hundreds of millions. Now I'm sure in the billions. We heard that St. Kitts and Nevis during COVID didn't have to go to the IMF. Other countries had to go. Well, we didn't have to go because we had that cushion. Where hundreds of millions were put away each year. So you and your brother in a house, your brother can save for a rainy day. Your brother don't need to borrow. Your brother debt coming down because he's paying off the debt. And he doing all that from a cow that he tore you own. But when the milk come, he sell the milk and he keep 93% of the money. And you're being given 7%. And when you say, Lord, this no fear. When you make nice board, you know you still get nothing. Better take your 7% and hush your mouth. And then people are out there defending that. Well, I'm not going to defend it. I will speak about it. And if it is I am out of government, I will speak about it. And if it is I'm in government, I will speak about it. Because fair is fair and right is right. And we must not make commitments that we do not intend to keep. We must not make commitments that we do not intend to keep. And so tonight, I am standing up for the people of Nevis. Yesterday, I stood up for the people of Nevis. And tomorrow, I will stand up for the people of Nevis. If I'm greedy for so doing, then let the record show that I'm greedy for the people of Nevis. Not for me. Because there's nothing I've asked for me and nothing that I want for me. And if it is that the people of Nevis were to say in the next election here in Nevis that they prefer the NRP, then I will make the same noise and say that the NRP in government deserves an equitable share of these proceeds. Because whichever government is in office in Nevis, fair is fair, right is right, and that is not going to change. The only difference that we have here is that the concerned citizens movement is willing to stand up in government and out of government and say very clearly that this is not right. There are others, it appears, who are not prepared to do so. And that, my friends, is what the people must now measure. This is not for me a CCM NRP issue. This for me is a national issue of us finally doing what is right by all of our people. And I have my brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, I hope they're listening to me. Because they must understand this is not against them. This is not me making some anti-St. Kitts statement. This is me saying that if we are to live out our creed of these two islands bound together with a common destiny, then we must have the necessary framework in place to ensure that we are fair in how we deal with the resources of our country. You can't give me I don't get the numbers again. You can't give me $349.7 million in 14 years when you take $4.79 billion and tell me hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. What you make noise for? You're greedy. Well, if you take 93% of the money and I get 7 and I'm greedy, well, what does that make you? Ladies and gentlemen, it's 5 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. We're going to take some calls. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call. And I remind everyone that tomorrow at 10 o'clock I have my monthly press conference when we will go into the figures, because I have really to thank the team I put together. They have combed through SIDF budget reports, everything they could find. And this is the best that they've come up with. And I believe that what we have is something that is very accurate. And so that's what we have been able to do. Since others who have the fingers at their fingertips are not prepared to share, we have shared tonight and we will share more tomorrow. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I am good.
Yes.
To God be the glory, great things he has done.
Amen.
Psalm 135 verse 2, 3 and 4. Ye that stand in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of our God. Praise the Lord, for the Lord is good. Sing praises unto his name, for it is pleasant. For the Lord has chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure. May God continue to bless you, and whatever you have to do it.
Thank you, my dear.
Workload.
Thank you. And God bless you as well. We're taking your calls, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to that caller. Always grateful to her. And you and I need to speak. I hope we can do so tomorrow. But always grateful to her because she always calls in with the scripture. And that is very, very helpful. It warms all of our hearts. It lifts all of us. And so thank you. We're taking your calls. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Mark Brantley, good evening. This is Carlton.
Good evening, Mr. DuPont. How are you?
Yeah. I must tell you, I was warmly joyous with your explanation tonight. And before I make my own couple-minute statement, I want to put it to the people that Dr. Timothy Harris is irredeemable when it comes to honesty in politics. So we have to move on past Timothy. And I have this to say before I make my statement to the visions. Have no fear. God will continue to bless that beautiful little place that allows so much. Now let's go. Number 1, keeping the promise. Now, why do people in St. Kitts and Nevis think that Dr. Harris has Michael Powell and Patches Liebert around him? And many others who I don't wish to call the names tonight. Why does people hang out around the Prime Minister who get $6,000 to abuse you? To my mind, you, Mr. Mark Brantley, has been one of the most forthright and loving politician in my 40 years in politics. Mark Brantley, I want to say to you, I am very worried about the treatment that has been meted out to my sister island for 40 years. And let me tell you something. You almost kill me because I don't watch TV and so. You almost killed me the other night when I put on my TV and I was watching you talking something about geothermal when someone questioned you. Well, Nevis should have had geothermal very easy without spending one dime from thinking about a loan. If Dr. Timothy Harris had any class at all, he would have given the people of Nevis their $600 million. Timothy Harris is not a good man. We are not abusing him. But Timothy Harris doesn't fit in to what we're looking for in a good leader. Timothy Harris is not a team man. Timothy Harris is going to run somebody against Sean Richards in Sandy Point, Chirante, Arguante, come home from Jamaica rante. Somebody who came back home, they sent a ticket for him to come back home for the convention in the village, Burante or Girante. I wonder if they couldn't name him Geronimo. They used to have a little boat run between St. Kitts and Nevis named Geronimo. I want him come back from Jamaica in 90 days when we go to the poll. Let's move on quickly for I want to give somebody a chance. Now the Prime Minister boasts a lot about going to church. Patches boasts a lot about the Prime Minister going to different churches. Now let me alert the nation why Timothy Harris goes to church. Nothing to do with God. It's about self-grandization. He wants to go around to all the churches like he's a great man. He's a loving man, but he's a good man. But what he's doing to this country is keeping the money hidden in the treasury so that whenever things look like he's going bad, he is the one who look good like he's helping us out. That is why the disparity that you spoke of this evening with the money nearly drive me crazy. Mark, I wanted to sleep, but I can't go sleep again till 1 o'clock because I'm going to write some notes. This is what I want to say to the people of Nevis. Look how the Prime Minister dealing with divisions with Vance Amri name. He used Vance, that Vance is okay with $30 million. I will get round to that on another time. I would like to meet Vance on this. But let me say this. Let me remind the people what you said tonight. Out of $2.979 billion, Nevis, from what I understood from 2015, since this administration got into office, Nevis received $321 million.
Yeah, so the correct figure, Mr. DuPont, is 2.79 billion from under Team Unity.
Oh, billion.
2.79 billion. Nevis received 321 million. St. Kitts received 2.47 billion.
Now, Mark Brantley, let me explain to the whole nation another problem that I have. St. Kitts' next government would be a government of unity again. We're going to start again. However, I want the people in St. Kitts to understand that they must go closer to God in order to come closer to divisions. Why? We cannot afford to go on this year after 90 days treating division like second-class citizen. I am tired of it. And let me tell you this. The new government that is going to be in place, that is going to be fought against with Timothy to form another government to give him a third term, all this problem could have been avoided if Timothy Harris had only used some honesty when the lady made the statement a year ago that she knows about loyalty, but he must go for a third term if the people wanted him to go. If Timothy had any class, he would have go against the grains of what the lady said. But let me say this last thing. Timothy Harris had a plan in what was said over there, testing the waters, but he had forgotten that Nevis has a representative down here. If from Sandy Point, they call him Licky Bird. I don't see him now. Mark, keep fighting for divisions, and I'm going to pray to God that not only you, all divisions prosper, including the NRP. I don't mean all like Timothy, with just a chosen few. May God bless you, Mark Brantley, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the call. And of course you have, and I've always expressed some very strong views in relation to the Prime Minister. You are not supportive of him. That is your position. I have said publicly that certainly we would have supported Dr. Timothy Harris as Prime Minister in 2015. He got the support again in 2020. But my concern is when we get to a stage where we are not living up to the commitments that we have made, and we are seeking still to insist publicly that other people are creating the problem. That's all I'm saying. I see people criticizing Sean Richards, they're criticizing me, they're saying all manner of things, and I am very consistent. I'm not in any debate about prime minister and leader because I don't care what label I have. I'm here to serve. If you want to give me a label, give me the label of servant-in-chief. That's what I want to do. If I was interested in money, I would have stayed in my law practice because that's where I made money. I've come to government to serve. So if you want to give me a leader, a label, I'm sorry, if you want to give me a position, call me servant-in-chief. Call me that. Because that is what I am interested in. I'm not interested in title. What ministry? Because any place you put me, I will try to do the best that I can. When I entered foreign affairs, I never knew nothing about diplomacy. But I have tried to lead this country in terms of foreign affairs, and our diplomatic footprint has expanded globally. Nobody can contradict that we have had no scandals because of how we've conducted our foreign affairs over the last 7-8 years. You hear St. Kitts Nevis mouth naming anybody mouth now? No. And whenever anything has happened, I've been there to clean it up, to make sure that our partners know that we are steady. So wherever you put me, I will try my best. But fear is fear, and unfair is unfair. And nobody's going to get me to muzzle and hush my mouth because they say, oh man, take that and hush your mouth. What you make noise for? The people of Nevis are no less than. No less than. And when we look at the numbers, you're telling me out of $5+ billion, Nevis ain't even reached 400 million yet. And some people jumping up. Hee. You get that what you do with it? Hee. Being misled and forgetting that under NRP they got nothing. Nothing. Let's go back to the phones. 6 minutes past the hour. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello.
Good evening, Premier.
You're on the mark. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
You are on the mark. Go ahead, please.
With regards to the hostile actions being discussed and considered against the CBI nation by the U.S. and EU, has St. Kitts and Nevis officially drafted and sent any official letters like Antigua did through its diplomatic mission?
Well, first of all, we're not aware of any hostile actions by the United States. You said the U.S. and the EU. The only hostility we have seen is something that the European Parliament has made a recommendation to the Council in the EU. Antigua has opted to respond publicly. I believe it was only today I saw an article where the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis has also made a response through the press to indicate that our program continues to be the best in the world in terms of our due diligence, our safety and security. But we have not dispatched any letters to the EU because at this stage it is only a recommendation that has been made from the Parliament to the Council, and we are not aware of any decision that the Council has made.
Okay, yeah, because the United States also has 2 congressmen working on a bipartisan deal. It's still early, of course, same as the EU. But okay, I think you answered my question with regards to the EU. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're most welcome. Thank you for the question. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let me just take a moment to explain again, because I said it earlier, but let me elaborate. That the constitutional provisions, St. Kitts and Nevis, section 1110 in particular, speaks to revenue sharing. When it talks about revenue, it is of course talking about tax and related revenue. So your VAT, your customs duties, etc., all of those are included in that number. And it talks about a formula for sharing. And it uses the same language of pro rata population between St. Kitts and Nevis. So the Charlestown Accord using that language, it was not alien. In fact, I took that language from the Constitution. The issue, however, is, of course, that the Constitution is treating all the revenue of St. Kitts and Nevis, whereas the Charlestown Accord doesn't say anything about revenue of St. Kitts and Nevis. The Charlestown Accord deals only with citizenship by investment because it was a political agreement. And you know, I hear people now making the claim that the Charlestown Accord should be thrown aside. That is nonsense. It doesn't stand up in a court of law. It does. And maybe this is unpopular for me to say so, but I will say so because it is true. It is the same Charlestown Accord that made Timothy Harris the Prime Minister. That is how he became Prime Minister. Because we agreed that he would be the Prime Minister. So how come it was good enough for that? But in terms of Nevis's share of what was agreed, it is not good enough for that. You see, we must be very careful when we start to cherry pick. Oh, throw it away now. Well, why must it be thrown away now? Because it has already achieved its purpose in getting Timothy Harris to be elected Prime Minister. And if that is considered the purpose for it, it means that all the other things that were promised to the country, it was not sincere. And I don't want to believe that. I refuse to believe that. And so I'm saying for all of those talking heads and pundits out there who are trying to justify the unjustifiable, if we're going to honor unity and keep unity together and strong, then we must honor the principles that underpin unity. Not some, but all. Not just who's going to be Prime Minister, but the fair share for Nevis, the boards, the consultation, how we're going to deal with CBI. All of those were commitments made to the people of this country. Let us honor them. It's not hard to do. And if you resile from honoring those commitments, and you say that, oh, the ones that say I should be in charge, that's good, I will honor that. But the ones that say Nevis should get a pro rata share of CBI proceeds, that's bad because Nevis is going to get too much money. Well, I asked the question, Nevis people don't know how to count money? And both parties in Nevis and every division, those at home, those abroad, those in St. Kitts, should understand that at the end of the day, we need resources to develop the island. And it cannot be right. It is a matter of shame and disgrace in this country that monies that are coming in, for which an agreement exists, the lion's share is being taken in Bastia. And we over here are given the scraps and are told, hush your mouth and be satisfied. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Blessed evening, my beloved brother. How are you doing, beloved?
My brother, how are you? Good to hear your voice as always.
Yes, brother. Brother, I'm so glad I got it. Oh, my beloved brother, let me say, I'm all for unity amongst African people, whether it's on the continent and the diaspora. But let me deal with St. Kitts Nevis, beloved brother. What you just outlined, beloved, with the with the $5.4 billion, brother, that money, and let me say, that money should come to Nevis automatically without any problem or problems. That's what Brother Nabu said. That's what it should be. Brother, you can promise, make some arrangement and say, okay, you get $5 and then for some time $5 is not given. Brother, that is not right. And I am speaking as an African man whose paternal grandparents born in Nevis have spent most of their lives on the island of St. Kitts, beloved brother. Why do you know, beloved? I just knew my paternal grandmother, not my paternal grandfather. Before. Beloved brother. And even if that wasn't the case, brother, I will still stand where I stand today. That Nevis must get its rightful share, and it should be automatic. And anybody who is in that way, brother, they must be pushed aside. But brother, what I don't want to see, beloved, I don't want to see no disunity among our real sisters and brothers.
Exactly.
That's no good for us as a people, beloved. Cannot be good. in St. Kitts Nevis cannot be good in the rest of the Caribbean, cannot be good on the African continent, because the more we are divided, it's to our detriment as African people. More we are unified, we are not 100% unity, but the more we are united, beloved brother, and it's good for our children, our grandchildren, and for us as adults, the elders, beloved. So my beloved brother, you know, beloved, I always have the utmost respect for you and love, and I always say, beloved, I will prefer you when Dr. Harris is done, beloved, to be the Prime Minister. And yeah, I say me say that, you know, and brother, let me say something here, right? Because you know I shoot straight, verbally, not talking about the violence now. Brother, some people in the People's Action Movement, two individuals, which I don't wish to call the name because everybody know who they are, but they are causing some dissent and they need to stop it. I'm not talking about Sean for now. I still have open mind with Sean, but Brother Richards, come on, you're supposed to be the leader of that party that I supported for 52 long years, beloved brother, since I was 10 years. I supported that party because my cousin, Richard Keyes, the magnanimous elder Richard Keyes, who is now an ancestor, the founding member of that party, and my involvement in the People's Action Movement was through the great Dr. William Valentine Herbert. But that's for another time, beloved brother. But brother, I'm saying this Kajia Pam at the hem, brother, they need to do some soul searching, and they've got to be more patriotic, beloved, not just for self-engagement beloved brother. They must be real, and they must be patriotic, loving, and caring. Dr. Harris, more unity, my beloved brother, more unity. And Brother Mark, I know, I saw you one time, I was at 2018 here. I saw you, brother, and I asked him, and this brother is a brilliant brother. And Brother Mark, let me give you some advice as an elder. I'm 63 years old, beloved. Brother, I want you, whatever you can do to keep this unity construct in place, because it's in our best interest as a united people, beloved brother, and for our children and great-grandchildren. But if we mash up this, brother, I don't want to see no one party ever run St. Kitts Nevis again. Beloved, that's no good. I want to see at least 2, 3 like how it is now, brother. That's a great, great idea. And we must keep it that way. But then whatever we can do to trash out the differences, whatever among the PLP, PAM, CCM, brother, sit down with each other, and brothers, you can work it out. You brothers can work it out along with members in each of the 3-party, beloved brother. So brother, I'm counting on you. Don't let nobody, I know you're very intelligent, very visionary, brother, don't be distracted and don't let nobody lead you down the wrong road. I know they can't do that. But brother, in closing, you see, sometimes when we say certain things, people glad for that utterances, and they use it for, dividing us, beloved brother. So brother, we got to watch what we say, because it could be used to cause division among us. And in this sense, I'm speaking about African people in St. Kitts. So brother, I'm counting on you. Let's gather the troops, sit down, talk, and trash out everything. I don't want this break up of this unity concept. Brother, thanks again for hearing me. Keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism our perish. One love, my beloved brother. Continue to listen.
Okay, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. It is 20 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. Let's go right back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Okay, we've lost that caller. Caller, please call back in. We had to listen to Brother Nabu. Of course, he's a regular caller. He always brings something very passionate about what he believes. And on this show, we take all shades of public opinion. I think he has made a passionate position in relation to the issues that are swirling. And we welcome that, and we welcome others as well to call in. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. Wonderful to hear your voice. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. Greetings from the United States.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have one thought. When consistency steps in, it means that persons will not settle for less. Because of consistency, people will not stick to something that's not working for them.
Mm-hmm.
In today's world, we have to apply our ideas and also ourselves to remember the world is changing every second. And with consistency means you have to change with the times. And when you have to put in the consistency of work, you will see the real results. Let's work in unity.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and thank you for your call. And I trust and hope all is well with you.
Yes.
All right. Good.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I'm trying to do some quick math here as I am typing because I'm going back. Okay, let me go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Okay, let me go to the phone.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, you. Yes, good evening to you.
Yeah, Mark.
We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, could you imagine? I'm here relaxing listening to this program. Could you imagine if we were the type of people we should be, made from God? Could you imagine the love this country could have had if Timothy Harris had even included somebody from the labor side to take active role in this government? Because I had to call back. This has been one of the main things I am fighting for all my life. Let's include opposition when election is over. Let's remember them. Timothy Harris dropped the ball when all this COVID problem was going on. He's the leader. Why couldn't he include Dr. Douglas and his team to sit down and let's deal with each other civilly? This is what leadership is all about. And the next administration coming up, I would like to see the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party a part of it. Now, Dwyer Astafan, who is my friend, and a big Labour, he would like Labour to win the next election. That's what he suggested today. But no one party could win the election in St. Kitts at this moment to form a government. Sometimes is who we back in. No, I don't back nothing except St. Kitts Nevis doing better. I am a Labour, I'm a CCM, I'm a NRP, I'm a double unity, anything you want to call me, but only in good. Listen to me what I want to see in the next administration. The opposition must have a say. We must bring them in, we must sit them down, we must find out their concerns and so. Mark Brantley, that is why I'm running in the next election in number 3. I am offering up myself where I'm living in number 3. Let the people reject me again, because if they ever do that right thing to vote for me, St. Kitts and Nevis will have genuine representative in that parliament building. When things are going wrong, I speak about them inside. If there is no change, I tell the House of Assembly, and who want to vex. But one of the things we need to do going forward is come serious and real with our people. Last thing before I go. I don't want to hear any more from tomorrow. All around in the circus where I am now, people saying Mark Brantley and Sean Richards is to blame for what Timothy doing. Let me tell this nation something about Mark Brantley. and Sean Richards. Mark Brantley and Sean Richards live a standard of life with a measure of trust. And that is what they did with Timothy Harris. They trusted him, he deceived them, and the rest of us. So Mark Brantley and Sean Richards is not to blame for the stupidity of Dr. Harris. Have a good night. I wouldn't call back.
Thank you very much for your call and for your views, passionately expressed as always. Let's stick with the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead, please. Hello?
Yes?
You are on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Brother Mark, Honorable Mark. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Okay, this is your friend Emerald Pemberton.
How are you? How are you?
I'm great. I just want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you for your honesty. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And my concern, I would like you to explain for us, not only for me, but for everybody, what is meant by an independent body to take care of the overhead, and then we would share the rest of the money. Just explain that for me. The independent body working out the overheads and not sharing all the money, and then the other party would have to incur the expenses of the CBI. Explain that to us.
Okay. Obviously, the CBI, like any program, has expenses. All right, caller? The CBI, like any program, has expenses. And so I suspect what the argument is that before there's a sharing of the gross amount that comes in, you must remove the expenses, and then what's left, the net amount, is what should be shared. And Nevis has no problem with that at all. The difficulty that we've had is that while you have all this chatter, nobody's actually saying, well, these are the expenses. So I would like, for example, I put some figures out tonight based on the research from my team that has been put together and has put these figures in place. And the figures again, CBI from 2007 to 2021 has brought in $5.14 billion. In fact, someone wrote to me, say, how much that in millions? Well, that's 5,000 million. 5,000 million. Right? In fact, it's 5,140 million. Okay? And of that, 5.14 billion, Nevis got 349.7 million. Sink is kept 4.79 billion. So, I am not the keeper of the accounts. I'm not the Minister of Finance. The keeper of the accounts is the Minister of Finance. So it is for the Minister of Finance, who happens also to be the Honorable Prime Minister, to come out and say, listen, alright, the program bring in 5.4 billion. We had to spend 200 million in expenses. That leave 4.9 billion, I'm sorry, and that now is shared quarter, 75%. I don't know what we need independent body for, because the people in finance must know how much money is coming in and how much is being spent on the program. How much are we paying the agents? How much are we paying the staff at CIU? How much are we paying for promotion of the program? All of those numbers are known. This is not rocket science, this is not mystery. What you have here is a constant kicking of the can down the road. Mark, make noise. Let me give him a little extra, call him interim. And then another year goes by. You know, a kicking of the can down the road. And I'm saying, let us sit down. Stop all the prevarication and the nonsense about we need independent body and we need World Bank and we need IMF. And what happened? People from the World Bank will count better than people from St. Kitts Nevis? We have a formula. Based on the last population, 75-25. Let me go back to 2007, $5.14 billion. That's what we got. Over 5,000 million is what we got. And over 5,000 million, Nevis get 349. That's the stark reality. So I don't need any independent body. A clerk in the Ministry of Finance tomorrow in St. Kitts could be given the assignment, and within 1 week the clerk could say, this is the amount of money that came in, these were the expenses, this is the amount that is net. And from the net, Nevis must hold 25%, St. Kitts must hold 75%, send the check over. I was doing some quick math here before the last caller. And from 2007 to 2021, Nevis got $349.7 million. If we had got our 25%, Nevis would have got just over $1 billion. You hear that? We got $349.7 million, and we're told, hush him out and be satisfied. But if we had got what was agreed, Nevis would have got over $1 billion. Now, I don't care who's in office in Nevis, because I'm only here for a short while. Sim Daniel was there, Joseph Parry was there, Van Zamri was there. They are no longer there. I am here now, and there will be a time when I will no longer be here. I'm not wedded to that. I'm here for a short while. I understand that. Other people are coming. And whoever sits in the chair as Premier of Nevis, you ask yourself the question, would you want to get $349 million when you're due over $1 billion? It means that nearly $700 million is sitting down in Bastia, which should have come to the island of Nevis. Man, we could have got airport, seaport, road all up to the top of Mount Nevis and back. We could have got Nevis flourishing with no debt. Geothermal. All of those things could have been accomplished. But we must sit down, run up debt, live from hand to mouth, and say, oh, we shouldn't say anything about it because the relationship can't be measured in money. Well, again, I say if it can't be measured in money, send Nevis the money, and Nevis will send the love back. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Good evening, brother.
Good evening.
I am a good supporter, you know. I'm a Jerry man, you know me very well.
Yes, brother.
I just called to ask you a simple question, right? As a lawyer. The question is, right? As a lawyer, is there anything that you can do as a lawyer to go into Parliament, right, and change this type of thing, this type of argumentative confusion with the monies of Nevis? Is anything that can be stipulated? So then, same to that, you both islands, you could be a prime minister in St. Kitts, and they would have a deputy prime minister. So you have one election. Is there anything like that could happen?
Well, Caller, the short answer is yes, it can happen, but it can only happen through constitutional reform.
Okay, but then,
yes.
but then, as a government body, as a good government body, right? And you don't think it's something that should be implemented?
Well, I believe that constitutional reform is necessary. I think that what we need to do is to really consult with the public on it. There'll be different views as to how this can be done. There has been a lot of talk over the years, but nothing has ever really been done in the context of constitutional reform. And the only effort that has ever been made in the context of constitutional reform was made by this unity government when we tried to pass the 2-term limits for the Prime Minister. That, however, was not approved in the Parliament because those in opposition did not vote on the matter. So, I agree that constitutional reform is necessary. What the content of that is going to be and what the provisions are going to be, I think that has to be a matter which is studied and get public consultation on it.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough. Thank you very much. I think this is the solution.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you for your contribution.
Respect. Blessed.
Yes,
Good
respect
night.
to you as well.
Right.
Good night. 25 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. So, I go back to the numbers because that's important. And I'm saying that on the numbers, and these are gross numbers, because we have not been told what the expenses are. $5.14 billion over the course of 14 years from 2007 until 2021. If Nevis was getting its 25% of that, it means that Nevis would have got over $1 billion. Instead, Nevis got $347.5 million. The disparity is vast between what we're entitled to and what we've actually received. And so we have $700+ million which has not come across the Narrows. And I ask our people again, what could have been done in Nevis with that? Our debt now, our total debt, NIA plus all the statutory corporation, NEVLEC, NASPA, NHLDC, etc., is just about 400 million EC dollars or thereabouts, give or take. I don't have the precise number in front of me, but $400+ million. You could understand that we would have no debt. Imagine a Nevis with no debt. No debt. Alternatively, we could have had a small debt, $100 million, and we have money in the bank, so that when the next hurricane comes, we don't have to go to anybody cap in hand. We can say we have money there to build back our roads and do what we need to do. People in Nevis tell you need the airport developed. We could have done that. They need the seaport developed. We could have done that. They want better roads. We could have done that. And this is what I want people to understand. Better schools. We need a college in Nevis similar to the Fitzroy Bryan College to allow our students the ability, move the sixth form out of the way it is. All of these things we could have done. Improve our healthcare, finish our hospital, equip it. All of this would have been within our reach if we were only getting what was promised to Nevis and what Nevis is entitled to. And I must sit down and get the show squeeze my foot and me no ball out. Me no say nothing. Why? Why? I just don't understand that some people keep remonstrating with Nevisians like me who are prepared to stand up and say enough is enough. I don't understand it. And anybody out there listening to my voice who can justify that of $5.14 billion, $5,000 million, the Nevis government got 3.79 out of that, and the St. Kitts Bastia kept 4.79 billion. So we get 349 million, they get 4,079 million. And people say, that's okay, don't make any noise, be quiet. I see somebody say something about quiet diplomacy. Quiet diplomacy. Because Nevis people must be like sheep. Take the debt and don't bawl out. Well, I'm not a sheep. I prefer to be a goat. Because a goat gonna boot and goat gonna make noise. You understand? It is time for us to stand up. Time for us to stand up. And I don't understand why people should be upset, because that's why people go to the polls, you know. That's why they elect people, you know, to stand up. And that is what I am going to do until I have no breath left in my body. I'm going to stand up. Because I am not going to go on my knees for anyone. No, I'm a proud Nevisian, proud ancestry, strong. And the people of Nevis are no less than. I keep saying so. But over the years, we have been treated as less than for so long that some of us believe it. A dear friend of mine sent me a message this evening. She said that some people seem to have an inferiority complex. And when you have an inferiority complex, you accept the mediocre because you think that is where you belong. You see, I made a commentary that in my own life, someone dear to me told me once, because I was poor, came from poverty. And someone said to me, because in school I had some friends who were and came from families of substance. I was a poor boy, but they were my friends. And someone said to me, oh, them they're your friend, you must not hang your hat higher than you can reach it. And I said to that someone I loved as a little boy, never in your life say those words to me again, because nobody better than me. And some people mistake that for arrogance. It is not arrogance. It is confidence in who you are, confidence in your own makeup and composition as a human being. Well, nobody better than me, and I am no better than anybody. We are all human beings. So if you happen by accident to be born in Bastia, well, you're entitled to 4,000 million. But if I happen by accident to be born in Charlestown, I should only get 347 million. And that is right? Well, how could that be right? And sometimes you got to break things down to its lowest common denominator. And I will not shy away. Call me what you want. Disruptor, confusionist, greedy, bad, worthless. Call me by whatever name. Because Jesus Christ was called by worse. And he was perfect. I am far from perfect. But I will tell you, I am a strong, committed Nivision. And it means something to me. And it should mean something out there to you, wherever you are. Just as I expect the people of St. Kitts to be strong, committed Kittitians. Nothing is wrong with that. And together, we are strong, committed Kittitians and Nivisions, citizens of this country. But if anybody out there believe that I come back down and lap my tail, and know that the treatment is not fair, and accept it, because I am more interested in protecting, I don't know what it is. They say, I saw the commentary that I'm trying to protect my salary. I have said it repeatedly that if I was interested in salary, I would be in my law firm, because that's where I used to make money. The government is not a place to make money. If people out there believe that, then perhaps if you engage in dishonesty, but I and my government are not engaged in dishonesty. It's not a place where you come to make money. You come to serve. That is the purpose behind it. And so I am very clear in my mind that there is nothing that I am willing to protect as much as I'm willing to protect the people of my beloved Nevis and the people of my beloved country, and be willing to speak up even if I speak alone and I stand alone. The Honorable Prime Minister Timothy Harris, in the dark days when we were fighting against the then Labour NRP administration led by Dr. Douglas, he made what is etched in my mind and in my memory as one of the finest speeches that I had heard. And the bit that stayed with me, he said, if I perish, then let me perish. But he was standing up. And he had the whole nation standing up with him, St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, I would want Dr. Harris to have the same passion, recalling his grandfather from Cotton Ground, and say, if I perish for doing what is right by all the people of this country, then let me perish. But you couldn't have said that in opposition, and then when you get in government, you're no longer willing to perish. No. And that, you see, is how I see leadership. Leadership is standing up when you're out in the cold and saying what it is you will do to make things better for everybody. And when people invest in you their trust and confidence, and you get into the warmth You're gone from outside in the yard to inside in the living room. That you keep that same level of commitment to the people. So that people can look upon you and say, that is a man. And the government that has kept its word to us. Because at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, what do we have except our word? Nothing. Riches? Ha! That is fleeting. You remember the biblical story about Lazarus and the rich man? And as he, with all his riches, is now in hell, cried out, even a little drop of water he would like on his parched lips. And Lazarus, a poor man, where was he? In the bosom of the Lord. And so we have to recognize that in this life, our word matters, our commitments matter. And if we cannot and will not keep those, then I can't associate with that. Because it means that I can't trust that when I go out and I say to the people of Nevis, Nevis, this is what the Federation is going to deliver to you. This is what we will bring to you. And when I out there saying that, then the people say, yeah, we agree with you. People behind me laugh at me and say, what he? Here he. Not study he, no. Not a cent they're going to get. Not study he. We not do that. Because if people signed on the dotted line, they say, let us not only talk about it, let us document it. Let us put it in writing. Let us sign. And let me tell you all, I'm going to get a way to put the Charlestown Accord up on social media. Because a lot of people hear that, but they don't really understand. The things signed, if you see the beautiful signatures, Timothy Harris, Dr. Sean Richards, Vance Emery. Beautiful signatures, and they got witness to it. And serious thing. Serious thing. I remember we had some big chanting in here. They feel like the government was being sworn in. The thousands of people gathered in the square in Charlestown. And after all that, you turn around and say, man, we've been doing all of that, but a joke we've been making. A joke we've been making. We don't believe in them something. They're joke. Well, that means that there's an issue of trust. And if I am to be vilified and I am to perish because I speak up for the people of Nevis, then let me perish. But I will not resile from this position that I have always taken in support of the people of the island of Nevis, and by extension the people of this federation. Let us be fair to our people. Let us honor our commitments to our people. And when we are done, let us leave the stage knowing that we have done our best. But you see this smartness, where who is one smart and who's two smart and who's three smart, it's not going to work. We cannot use a situation for our benefit and our own personal advancement and aggrandizement, and then turn around and condemn the very situation that we use. It reminds me of a passage in the Shakespearean play Julius Caesar. And if my memory serves from my literature days in high school, the writer said, lowliness is young ambition's ladder, whereto the climber upward turns his face. But when he once attains that utmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. And I believe that that is an important passage in a play, because too many of us, lowliness is young ambition's ladder, whereto the climber upward turns his face. But when he once attains the utmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. Too many of us get up on the backs of others. we get up on a ladder, and once we reach the utmost round, the top, we turn our back, scorning the base degrees by which we did ascend, scorning the very basis of our elevation to the top. No. Good friend of mine, I grew up with him, and he told me once, it has stuck with me all my life, the same people you pass on your way up is the same people you're going to pass on your way down. Be good to people. Be honest with people. Keep your word and keep your commitment to people, and you will not have that dilemma in your life, because we all have a trajectory. We go up, and then we have a trajectory, we come down. That's why they say once a man, twice a child. It's life. It's the nature of life. And those of us who understand life and understand that there is everything to which there is a season. We understand that there will be a season when we are on top and a season when we are below. A season when we are at the top of the mountain and a season when we are in the valley. And that is why the songwriter says that the same God is the God of the mountain and of the valley. And we must remember that when we're in the valley of despair, when we've been cast aside and shunned, when we do not know where to turn, and others wrap their arms around us and embrace us and lift us up and elevate us, that we ought not to disrespect and dishonor the base degrees by which we did ascend. That, brothers and sisters, is an important lesson, not just in politics but in life. An important lesson, and I urge us to heed that lesson. I still have time to take another call or two if persons are interested in calling. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones and say good evening. You are on the mark.
Yes, a pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well, thank you.
Okay. I just want to find out something. Okay, the Accord signed in 2015.
I'm sorry?
The Accord
signed in 2014. 2014. 2014, caller.
Oh, 2014.
Yes.
Okay. So, if like the Prime Minister did promise to pay the full share for Navy from 2015, how much? Okay, so that you would have been get from 2015 to 2021.
Okay, in terms of from 2015 to 2021,
yes.
Let me tell you quickly that we would have got the amount that came in from 2015 to 2021 was $2.79 billion. Navy's got $321 million. If we had got the 25%, then we'd have get a quarter of 2.79. That is what? Call it 700 million.
How much?
We should have got about 700 million.
700 million.
And we got 321.
Oh. Okay, so we still got about 4 more billion there in there.
Well, at least another 350.
3 and it's 3?
At least another 350 million would have come.
So
right?
bring the thing up together.
Exactly. Right? So that is from 2015 to 2021. But when you add in now, the period before that, the numbers are even worse. Because at least under Unity, Nevis has got something. Prior to Unity, Nevis never got anything at all. You understand?
Yeah.
So that is all that we are saying. Let us deal with the matter. Stop delaying it and pushing it down the road. Just come out and say, well, okay, The thing brought in $2.79 billion from 2015. Of that, we had to spend $100 million in expenses. That leave 2.69, or that leave, I'm sorry, 1.9, and of that, therefore, Nevis is going to get 25%, Sinkis take 75%. And everybody said, good, hold hands, because that was agreed.
So, are you only seeking for from 2015, or you want to go back further?
Well, I believe that we should go back to when this started in 2007. But I am not prepared to be unreasonable. I understand from then money could have been spent, money could have been dealt with in different ways. But I am saying at least from 2015, because we had an agreement in place that this is how we would do, then at least in good faith we should treat with that period.
Yes, so you just looking for you from the 2015.
I'm saying at least that. At least that. Right?
Yes, it has gone all the way back then.
To 2007.
I heard the Prime Minister, the one that gone,
yes,
say today that he and Parry like signed some kind of agreement for Nevis to give Nevis the fair share, and he proposed that Nevis will get 20% and Sinkis will get 80%. I heard him say so today.
Well, I don't know what people are going to say now. I judge people on what they did when they had the authority to do it.
Right.
And as I said, the numbers speak for themselves. Because the numbers that I have here tell me that from 2007 until 2015, imagine in 2011, CBI brought in $232 million. Nevis got a loan of $3 million to build NIPAC.
So you get a loan from that set of money?
Yes, a loan. In 2012, CBI brought in $334,574,902. Nevis get a loan for $6 million at 5% repairable over 5 years. And then we get another loan for $4,084,000 for the airport lands. We had to pay that at 6%. And the airport, Van Sam International, was mortgaged to the SIDF. The lawyer on the transaction was Delano Bart, I remember. You understand?
Yep.
So if there was something in place, because Parry was the Premier of Nevis in 2011 and 2012.
Right.
And Dr. Douglas was the Prime Minister of the country.
Right.
So if there was something in place, how come Nevis was getting loan?
That's what I mean. I heard him today say that
maybe talking about what he had hoped to do. But I believe that we must be judged on what we did. That to me is what is important. My brother, the banner struck up, it means I have to go.
All what I will like, that team unity. Try all please work it out together, because I don't think I could live underneath another government but team unity. So I beg you please.
Alright,
try and see if I could get it to work out and let the country continue to go on like how it was.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. That you have the last set tonight.
Alright, thanks.
I appreciate the call. Thank you.
You have a pleasant night.
You too. God bless you.
Right.
Alright, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. You know the DJ here turn on the band so early. The dance finished. The band strike up and now the band. This show is the only show when the band strike up is when the dance done. Most times it's when the band shut up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. My press conference again tomorrow is at 10 a.m. I ask the nation to join and the press, members of the press, to come with your questions. I end where I started. This is not about any argument, any rancor, any difficulty, any hatred, or any venom towards any man. This is about what is right, what has been committed to, and what it is we ought to work towards. And if we cannot keep our commitments to each other and to the nation, then Mark Brantley wants no part of that. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, good night, and God bless you. And remember that this show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m., right here on Von Radio, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or